Okay, everybody, welcome. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Give me a thumbs up or something in the chat just to let me know you can see me okay, hear me okay. I decided on the fun extra red glasses for y'all today. So hopefully that makes it a little more exciting. I love to show up. Outfits make me feel good. And we're here today to do and discover all of the things that do make us feel good and that allow us to drop in to our femininity and our feminine center. We are so overburdened and overworked as women in the world today. And I'm working in every way that I can to help you as feminine women reclaim your sense of femininity, your sense of womanhood, your sense of receptivity, your sense of joy, all of the things that really align most highly with who we are as feminine women and allow us to do our best work in the world and make the greatest impact possible. When the ladies are happy, studies and research shows the people around us are also happy and benefit. So this work that we're doing today of dropping into receptivity, reclaiming our femininity, reclaiming our joyful essence, our pleasure, is not selfish work. It's actually incredibly beneficial for us and those around us. It's like my mother used to say, and probably still does, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, that is absolutely true. Women are the emotional regulators of any community that we inhabit. And when we are diminished, devalued, oppressed, repressed, it actually depresses the emotional state and ability to regulate and the resilience of everyone around her. So everyone suffers when the women are not happy, when we are overworked, when we are overburdened. So that's why we're here. I want to give you one of the best tools that I know how to get you back into your more receptive feminine state. Now, this is a simple tool. It's one that you can use anytime, all day, every day. It's something that I teach to my private coaching clients. It's something that I encourage them to work with. It's something that I do myself. It's something that I write about in the book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman. If you've got that yet, if you don't, make sure you do. But this is for all of you as women. It's something I encourage you to teach other women because one of the things that we do as women is we put ourselves last. And so I'm here today doing this for you and giving you full permission to start putting yourself first. So before we get too into the thick of our exercise today and a little bit of lecture with background on exactly why this is so important for you and actually why it's so important for every woman in your life, let's drop in because this is our receiving space. I've created this space just for you, just for us to be together and to receive. And this is a sacred, holy thing for women today. We don't get the opportunity to do this often enough, if we get the opportunity to do it at all. So, if you're driving, obviously don't do this, and hopefully you're in a quiet, safe space wherever you are. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart and your other hand on your belly, your womb, your sacred space. Notice your breath for a second. Drop into your body. Drop into your breath. One of the key states of femininity is embodiment. Everything that we are in this life as feminine women is embodied, comes through our body. That's why we are feeling beings. That's why we are intuitive beings. It all comes through our body. It's the way we experience the world. With our superpowers of intuition and emotional depth, those are things we feel first. And so it is critical that we are able to feel and drop into our bodies. So this hour, my friends, is for you. This hour is for you to soften, to open, and to reclaim. For at least this hour, I'm giving you a safe space to do that. And hopefully the tools to reclaim in the rest of your life too. This hour is for you to reconnect with your femininity, yourself, your power, and to understand or re-understand why receiving is actually your gateway to your greatest power. So simply notice for a moment how you're feeling in the body, and there is no right or wrong. Just notice, just observe. The honoring of that feeling, the noticing of that feeling is a first step to reconnecting with your emotional depth and your intuition. All right, so take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Deep breath in, a deep breath out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes back up so we can reconnect together here. And I see that there's been a few new people who've joined us. And whether you're going to be watching this live or on the replay, I want to always start by saying thank you for being here and being a part of this community with me. It's not just a community, it is a movement. You know, I've done a lot of talking and speaking in recent months on the book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, to my community, to other podcasters, and have had the chance to really get clear on the fact that women don't do this enough. There isn't a big enough movement. There aren't enough spaces for us to really drop into our feminine power as women. And I know that sounds wild. I mean, you know, I talk about the fact that when I started writing the book, one of the things you have to do when you're proposing a book to a publisher is let them know what else is in this space. What are your other book competitors? Who else has done this? And how are you doing it differently? And the amazing truth that I learned in that is that there really isn't anything else like this out there. And I'm not saying that because, you know, oh, I'm so special, I did it first. I'm saying that because I was stunned. How is it that women haven't come together in this way? How is it that we aren't supporting each other more in reclaiming our feminine power? How is it that we aren't aligning with one another to create clear pathways to satisfaction? Because right now we have more opportunity to do that than we've ever had before. And I know things are weird today. I know the world is weird right now in whatever way that means that to you, you know, however it is that you look at the world. I understand that we're not there yet. I get that women still have a long way to go to really own equality, equity, everything. But I guarantee that wherever we are now, we're farther along than any of our female ancestors. We have more chance, more choice, more opportunity, and it is our time and our turn to claim it. And we can only do that when we work with each other and learn how it's working for one another. There aren't well-trodden pathways like the men have. When we look at forms of success in history, they're mostly masculine forms. There are women, certainly, who have been trailblazers in their time against all odds, and that is what you and I and all of us today are still. But I want to give some hope that it is easier for us. And if we just have some tools, we can unlock it and we can begin to walk our way towards satisfaction. And that is going to require us to have some both undoing of cultural narratives, but also some in doing, some inner work where we realign with our feminine essence in probably ways that we either haven't ever been taught before or that we've forgotten, right? All of us are here. You're here, my friends. The masculine counterparts, everyone in our modern day world are here in this situation because of some improper training. We haven't gotten the tools, we haven't gotten the lessons yet. Now, interestingly, the men's work movement has been alive and well for 40 years. A lot of them are actually doing it. And I know that sounds crazy. If you are married to a man or dating men, and look, I coach women through questionable and toxic relationships or even out of questionable and toxic relationships. I know how much of a struggle it is out there, but there are good men out there. There are men's work movements. There are men's work groups. They have books like this. It's amazing. They're doing it. It's our time to start. When women look for books and support, what we find are things, amazingly enough, that actually a lot of times reinforce some of the cultural narratives that we've been taught. When you look up women's self-help, you find books on how not to be crazy. And crazy is one of those terms that the patriarchy lobs at us to try and get us to dismiss or devalue our emotional depth, which is one of our superpowers, which is one of the things that makes us actually more powerful in this world and a potential threat to the way that they think things should be done. When you look up women's self-help books, you find books on how to find a man, because still the idea is that is what defines a woman. It's wild. And I know this again because I've done the research. I'm doing this work. And so there needs to be a redefinition. There needs to be a reclamation. And one of the first things we need to do is doing this inner work of realizing what all of this is costing us. Look, those of you that are here with me live, I think there's a little function you can raise your hand and ask questions and, oh, it says that you're unable to put anything in the chat. I just got a little note. I wonder why that is. Okay, well, there is a Q&A that is available. So please utilize that to let me know. I have chat on and it says, let's see. Oh, here, everyone. And everyone. Okay, I think I enabled the chat. I hope that I did. Maybe one of y'all can type in there for me and see if we can start having a bit of a conversation because ladies love to talk. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you so much for alerting me to that. Look, we're several years past the pandemic and tech challenges are still real. I'm still learning some things on Zoom. Great. So I'm talking about the inner work, the inner doing of what we need to realize that we're also still, each of us as individuals, a bit constrained by things that we've learned and that we've been taught. Some of us believe that leaning into logic and reason is better. It's not. Those are the masculine forms. Those are the masculine superpowers. They're awesome and wonderful. But when women lean into logic and reason to the detriment of their intuition and emotion, we become exhausted. We become resentful. We put ourselves last. We abandon ourselves because our greatest knowing comes from our embodiment. It comes from inside. So if you right now are live with me and in your life, you feel any version of exhausted, burned out, overworked, taken advantage of, tired on a soul level, raise your hand or let me know. Yes to all. I've got a hand raised. That's right. Exactly. This is why we're here. Okay? Because it's got to stop. You don't have to feel that way anymore. I am giving you full permission to stop. In my research, I have found that 80% of women 80% of women report burnout. Now, burnout is a funny thing because it's not a clinical diagnosis. It's something that you know about yourself, right? You're not going to go to a doctor and get a prescription to heal burnout. What does happen though is burnout does lead to high states of stress, which does have a physical effect that is going to increase your cortisol, which will make it harder for you to lose weight. It will cause weight gain. It will affect your sleep cycle. It will affect your hormonal rhythms. High cortisol is the foundation of inflammation, and inflammation is the root of all disease. So while burnout might not be a doctor's diagnosis, living with it for too long will likely lead to something that is. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for any of my sisters. Because where our glory is not in the land of burnout. It's not in the land of overdoing. It's not in the land of overfunctioning, overgiving, giving ourselves away to our own detriment. It takes a toll not just on us, but on our relationships. When we operate this way inside of relationship, we have imbalanced toxic relationships. We tell the other people in our relationships, whether they're intimate relationships, friendships, partnerships, colleagueships, whatever kind of ships we're riding in, they will be dysfunctional when we are overgiving because we're telling them they don't need to help us out. They don't need to do anything. We're just going to take care of it and do it all. And let me tell you something. When we do that, we teach the world that we don't matter. When we don't receive, we teach the world, even those that love us, that we don't need anything from them, that they don't have to help us out, that we can do everything ourselves and that we are self-sufficient. Now, I lived that truth, as I'm sure many of you are currently living that truth, for so many years. And I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like. It's lonely. Even when people are around you, it's lonely. It makes you question your self-worth. Now, don't you think that's the plan? Look, I talk about the patriarchy, right? Just the dominant cultural paradigm. I do not villainize men, right? I love men. It's not the men's problem. The patriarchy actually doesn't serve the healthy masculine either. When everyone is in their healthiest polarity and we are functioning in our best possible ways, we are in service and in symbiosis with each other. That's what we want. And part of that, my fellow feminine women, is getting back into your femininity, into that receptive state, because it allows those around you to rise into their best self. If you're the one chasing, overdoing, overfunctioning, overthinking, overcompensating all the time, they're just going to let you do that. Do you know, this is a bit of an aside, but I've been so struck lately. I have had the incredible good fortune to work with some very, very powerful women in my private coaching. And some of them are here today. Actually, some of my current coaching clients and past coaching clients are here today. And I'm finding more and more. Remember, I said in the beginning that we have a greater opportunity now than we've ever had before, is when we've got more choice, we've got more opportunities, we've got more agency, and we're using it, but we're still using it in the way that the patriarchy wants us to, which is to just take everything over, burn ourselves out, be dismissive, do everything for everyone else, find our value in giving ourselves away. And the men who have not really kind of cottoned on to this, they're just letting us. So more and more, I'm working with women who are in a career or are making money and they're paying for everything. They're in a financially imbalanced relationship where it's their money that is the primary income for the entire household and the men are checking out. That wasn't possible 50 years ago. So in this really sneaky way, the patriarchy said, yeah, ladies, you can do it all. You can make your money. You can have your businesses. Oh, by the way, go ahead and keep doing that. I mean, it's worth questioning all of it. Okay? All of this on both sides, on all sides, is improper training and lack of experience. And it starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with the people who are here today, the people who are going to watch this in replay, recognizing that our power is not in overgiving, but receiving. That a woman's prosperity and abundance comes from drawing it in, receiving it, not going out and getting it, not going out and doing it, not going out and chasing after it, not continuing to overfunction. It's a flip of the script that needs to happen. And this isn't just about making money. This is about picking up the dirty socks off the floor for the millionth time because somehow we've all learned that they won't do it and so we will. It's about always cleaning the kitchen and doing it over and over and controlling that so tightly that your partner just never does it. And so you believe they can't and they believe that you're just going to do it for them. It happens in subtle ways every day in the life of a woman in this modern day age because if you were raised like I was, you were taught that you can and you can be anything and you can do everything. And so we have. Now, I am certainly not going to take away the notion that we can do everything and that we can be everything that we want to. I love that we live in a world where we can do whatever the fuck we want, ladies. But I don't want to do everything. I want us to be really intentional because here's a mic drop moment. You ready? I feel like I should get really close to my mic right now. Here's the mic drop moment. The core phrase of the feminine is not yes, it's no. The feminine defaults to no first before she receives her clear yes to anything. And we've been tricked to think that we have to yes all the time, that our value lies in the overgiving, in the giving ourselves away. Oh my goodness. There's a beautiful comment in the chat right now. I'm going to read it out loud for those of you who watch the replay so that you can integrate this because it's really potent. I recently went to a funeral of a 34-year-old woman who gave everything away to the point of getting herself severely ill. The minister constantly applauded how she gave herself away, but I was so sad because she gave till it killed her. Exactly. Exactly. It is not in the feminine to give ourselves away. That was never the lesson of the feminine. The feminine is the queen on the throne who is sovereign over her land, who has the people around her to help her and support her, to do things for her. It's not that she's not functioning. It's not that she can't choose to do. She's the ruler of the whole space. She is holding things together. I'm not saying we need to sit on a chaise lounge and eat bonbons. But women suffer in this overgiving. I also know that 8 out of 10 people with an autoimmune disorder are female. I struggled myself for 20 years with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disorder. And I know in my bones, I know in my soul that that was prompted as a result of this belief that I am nothing unless I love harder, do more, show up more, overfunction, overgive, always please, always say yes. Okay, so this is my story too, right? I'm coming at this from the same place all of you are. So I think I've laid the groundwork, and certainly this amazing and heartbreaking comment has given us some truth behind this idea. Then I want to start shifting because there is hope, right? I mean, there is hope. You can tell I'm even emotional about this because this is so very much at the core of who we are, of who we need to be, right? As women. That it's critical to understand that we need to shift from doing to allowing. We'll still get everything that we want to done, and we just won't do it all ourselves. And there's this magical freedom when we let go of the control of doing it. It is a control. Sorry. My fellow control freaks out there is, I know we don't like to own that, but just own it for a second and let the fuck go, please. The shift from doing to allowing gets us into our femininity. This is like a core principle of femininity. If we think of the two polarities, femininity, masculinity, they're psychological energies, they're inbuilt within all of us. All humans have both feminine and masculine. For the feminine woman, we need to find places, spaces, relationships, careers, everything more and more that allow us to downshift into the feminine, to be in this receptive space, because it is magnetizing. The feminine draws things toward us. We are the receivers. The feminine is receivership. If you just get really biological with it, ladies, think of your anatomy. Think of how you receive, if it's a heterosexual relationship, the love of a man. That's just basic biology. I'm not here. I don't care what your sexual orientation is or how you present yourself. Everything is awesomely okay in 2025. But down to brass tacks, we are receptacles. We receive pleasure. We receive love. We receive providership. We receive protection. We receive safety, security. We receive cherishing. When we're not receiving, when we're giving, okay, that is masculine. Again, just think of biology. Think of their actual physical anatomy. And again, this isn't a sermon on any kind of orientation. This is just biology. Their masculine form is penetrating. Now, that has often, under the patriarchy, been used to harm. It doesn't have to be. The high, good, excellent form of that is not control. It's generosity. It's participation. It's leaning in. It's protection. This is what they give, okay? The generous masculine gives. The receptive feminine is pleased. And ladies, we are the harbingers of pleasure. And now I hope in your life at some point you can call up a moment where you have felt that full body pleasure, that spark of aliveness within all of the cells of your body that shines from you when you feel that pleasure in any form, physical pleasure, emotional pleasure, mental pleasure, relational pleasure, creative pleasure. Find it in any way you can. And when you have what you're feeling, what that pleasure is for you, is the life force that is running through your body. You are the bearer of life force. Life force energy comes from the feminine. And we only have access to that life force energy when we are safe, secure, trusting of our world and ourselves, and cherished by the masculine. Now, that life force energy is what allows us to create anything in the world, whether we are creating actual humans as mothers or not. Creation comes from the feminine. We want a new world. We want to change something. We want to create a new business. We want to create a new partnership. We want to create a new family. We want to create a new life for ourselves. Whatever you want to create, that creativity is going to come from the seat of your feminine power, that place of receptivity. You cannot create when you are stressed, when you are overworked, when you are diminished, devalued, when you are giving yourself away, when you are donning the mask of the masculine and wearing that heavy armor so heavily and so burdensome that you can't actually get anything done for yourself. So those 4 things I named, they're really at the heart of feminine satisfaction. And if it wasn't obvious to you, I might be really into this satisfaction idea. Satisfaction is defined as the pleasure derived from the fulfillment of our wishes and needs. Every human on the planet needs to have their needs met. Wishes being fulfilled gives life meaning. Fulfillment is holistic. It's evolving. It's circular. It's natural for the female. Success is linear. It's goals-based. It's at all costs. It's to the detriment of others, and it's often alone. We don't need success. We need satisfaction, which comes with abundance, receptivity, prosperity, joy, pleasure, the happiness of ourselves and everyone around us. And we calibrate that every day in our bodies. It's feeling. The feminine is embodied. We feel this. And we feel satisfaction when we are safe, meaning free from harm in mind, body, and heart, free to be ourselves, safety. When we are secure, when we have all of our most essential needs met, whatever they may be. When we trust ourselves, meaning we center our intuition and our emotions over and above our logic and reason, those follow. And when we are cherished by the masculine, and if that's internally, that our masculine logic and reason are in service to our intuition and emotion, and if it's externally, that we find masculine partners and people around us that never leave us alone in our pain until a solution can be reached, a solution that feels good to us. Those 4 keys, safety, security, trust, and cherishing, they're the groundwork for satisfaction. Satisfaction is not possible until those 4 keys are reached. When we have those 4 keys in some semblance in our lives, that's the gateway to creativity, receptivity, abundance, prosperity, all of the good things that make a woman feel alive. And you know her, you've seen her. Maybe you've been her. Maybe you've had that glorious moment, and I don't know why it's this image. Maybe this is the wrong image, but the one that's coming to mind is like that lady at the party that everyone is just drawn to. It doesn't matter what she looks like, but whatever she looks like, she feels fabulous. And there's this energy, pleasure, radiating from her that the women look at and go, oh my God, like I need her skincare routine, or like I need what she's got going on. And the men look at her and go, oh my goodness, that spark of life, that's what I need in my life. That is feminine power. That comes from satisfaction. And that at its core is receptivity. When people are drawn to you in that way, when you are magnetizing that kind of energy, you are fully receptive in the feminine. And people fall all over themselves to do for that woman. As soon as she picks up the reins and starts to do for them, that attraction, that magnetism is lost. Consider that. You know, like it's actually the best thing in our relationships to just keep being receptive and saying, no, no, I will not pick up the socks. No, I will not drive you to your 4th soccer practice of the week because I'm exhausted. No, I'm not going to get up at 4 a.m. and take you to the airport. You can take an Uber. I need my sleep. No. Imagine saying no. We have been so trained and conditioned that no threatens our value is the perception. That if I say no, if I just don't do everything, I won't be valuable in this relationship. I won't be valuable in this space. I won't be valuable in this job. I have to keep saying yes to demonstrate my value. Your value is in your no, in your attraction. Because then when you do say yes, imagine the power, the energy that you can put out there. Imagine what you will create with your full bodied yes. But it's got to start with that no. And one of the things that I work very heavily on with all of my one-on-one clients, whether we're working on building their most sovereign business, whether we're working on either exiting or rekindling their relationship, whether we're working on helping them find the right one, magnetize the right one, whatever we're working on, it all comes from these principles that I'm teaching you right now. And so many of my clients, and I'm guessing maybe you too, there's just no boundaries. There's no boundaries. People just walk all over them, and so they abandon themselves. They abandon their own needs. They abandon their own desires. They abandon their own wishes in order to try to get everything else done for everyone else. In their fear of being abandoned and saying yes to everyone else, they're abandoning themselves. I mean, what a trick. What a trick this culture has laid on us. We're here to dismantle it. Okay. So I'm going to do a practice with you right now. This is one of my most core, essential, beautiful practices. Um, Before I start the practice, I have to read this comment. I've read through the whole thing, but let me just read it. For those of you that are on the replay, you might not see it. So, uh, she's saying, this so resonates, but it also makes me want to try to get with a woman. I hear you, girl. Because if I don't pick up socks, then it won't get picked up until my man gets it, and that's going to take time. So I don't want to live with socks on the floor. So do I just do it, live with it until the man magically gets it one day? That feels like wishful thinking. So what does the feminine receptivity look like in that liminal space? It looks like patience. And let me tell you my favorite definition of patience, my friend. Patience is the art of masking impatience. Because look, the other, I don't, this is another workshop, but women are timely. Okay. Women don't procrastinate. Procrastination is actually a male problem. And it's because they don't have any real time markers in their lives. We have a moment at which we can actually start giving birth. We have a moment at which that actually stops. We have a moment every 28 days where we are able to produce a baby. When we have our periods, our menstrual cycle, our entire life based on our biology is timely. It's dictated. We don't have time to waste. We cannot procrastinate. So there is no patience for the woman. If the primary statement of the feminine is no, the primary question of the woman is when. The statement of the masculine, by the way, is yes. And the primary statement of the masculine is how. How do we get it done? Okay. So you are going to have to just hang. And this is the control piece I mentioned. Dirty socks on the floor are not going to kill you. And the moment you continue to reach out and do the thing, the moment you give the other, I'm guessing the masculine, permission to just, it puts them in their feminine. I don't want to live with a feminine partner, an intimate feminine partner. If I have an intimate partnership, I need them to be in their masculine because that's the only way I get to be in my feminine. Now, I don't know, and I work with this a lot with my clients, actually. We don't know what happens when we open that door, right? We're going to take care of us. We're going to get into our femininity. We're going to get into this receptivity, which I'm going to give you this boundaries work here in a second. We're going to get into this feminine space. We're going to start allowing. We're going to create the vacuum. The universe hates a vacuum. Anytime we create a vacuum, something has to rush in and fill it, but it cannot be us. So our distorted masculine, when a feminine woman wears that heavy masculine armor for too long, it's not a good masculine armor. It's not a good look for us, ladies. Short term, to get shit done every now and again, fine. But prolonged over time, and especially in relationship, it distorts and it turns into control. When the positive expression of masculine energy, which is generosity, is distorted, it becomes control. So just stop. Dirty socks on the floor is not going to kill you. It's just not. It's going to be annoying, but you know what? You got other things to do. You're so busy. Like, don't worry about it. And frankly, if they have to live without socks for a while, let them. It's fine. It ain't your problem. Not anymore. So, yeah, hang in with that impatience. It is going to be uncomfortable. But remember, everyone here has all had improper training. No one pulled them aside and said, this is what the healthy masculine looks like. There are men's work movements who are doing that, and I'm so grateful for them. I've been on several of their podcasts, actually. Man Uncivilized with Trevor Boehm, Men Alive with Jed Diamond, Men This Way with Brian Reeves and Tate Ahrens. They're amazing men doing amazing work in that space. Let's let them do that. We need to do ours. Okay. So a huge problem with us, and I'm calling it out, it is our problem, is we have no boundaries. We abandon ourselves in this giving away. And boundaries for the female, for the feminine, let me tell you, I've got great news for you. They're easy to find. This is not rocket science. And, interestingly, I actually did study rocket science. That was my first degree in college. Yeah, physics. Weird. Um, it's not rocket science. I know many women spend so much money on therapy, learning about boundaries. Go to therapy, do that work, but it's not that hard. Your intuition and your emotional depth already give you your boundaries. And for the feminine, boundaries are simply a clear yes and a clear no. That's it. That's your container. That's really all you have to decide. Clear yes, clear no. The hard part isn't the clear yes or clear no, which I'm about to show you how to get. It's following through. It's when you get that clear no, you hold that container. You don't fill it up. You don't over logic and over reason distorted masculine into convincing yourself to do it anyway. Okay, that's where really like the practice is. I've got my clear yes and clear no. Can I hang with it? Can I hold that feminine contained space and let the universe rush in? Let the universe fill that vacuum for me. The more of us that do this work, the more we actually call the capable, healthy masculine to rise into that space. They cannot rise if we don't create the vacuum. This is critically important if you're raising young men. You get to stop being their masculine protector when they turn about age 10. Create that vacuum, let them rise into it, because otherwise you're raising young men who will eventually want to marry a masculine woman who pick up their socks. You want to start seeing if the man you're with in relationship can fill that void? You got to create the void. You got to open the door. I don't know if he'll walk through it, but he never will if you keep filling the space. In your work partnerships, I mean, how many of us are overworking, finishing things before deadline, doing the work of our colleagues, our partners, saying yes to overtime, working on weekends? Your value will lie in your clear no. I promise. Okay. So ready? Here we go. This is a little practice. It's going to take a few minutes. It's a safe space. Okay. This is a safe space. If for some reason right now you don't find yourself in a safe space, you're driving, there's too much noise, you will have access to this replay and you can do this when it is safe. Okay. But I'm creating this safe space for you. I'm giving you permission. Everything that's going to happen in the next few minutes is information for you. All right. And then we're going to come back. We're going to figure this out. So here we go. Get your hands free. Get ready. And once again, go ahead and close your eyes. You are an embodied feminine woman. Whether you've been ignoring that, repressing that, dismissing that, devaluing that or not, that is what you are. And that is a core essence of who you are as a human being. So there is nothing to do. There's nothing to tune up. There's nothing to discover. This is more of a rediscovery of something that has been speaking inside you your entire life. So breathe with me for a moment. Get back into your body. And again, this is a safe space. And we're going to start with a bit of an unpleasant memory to just feel what that is for you. And I want you to go back to a recent time where you felt overworked, exhausted, burnt out, asked too much of, overdoing, compromised. A time where you know you betrayed yourself. A time where you said yes, but you know that you needed, that you meant to say no. And I want you to feel into that for a moment. It's okay. It's just a memory. Feel into that. Feel what happens to your body. Maybe you feel the tears well up like I do. Maybe you feel the tightness in your throat. Maybe you feel a heaviness or a pressure on your heart. Maybe you feel it like a veil over your brain. You can't think. Okay. I don't know what you feel, but I know, my dear embodied feminine woman, you feel something. So, in gratitude for that, for your body telling you, place your hands on your body wherever you are feeling that sting, that weight, that pressure, that clench, that welling up. Place your hands on your body just to acknowledge it, just to say, yes, I feel you. I am embodied. This is the language of your soul. It's the language of your soul. This is the message that your soul gives you when your answer is no. So as you feel that, as you place your hands, think of all the ways that you have betrayed yourself. Think of all the opportunities that you had to say no and didn't. And think of the cost. Maybe you struggle with back pain. Maybe you can't sleep well. Maybe your cortisol levels are high. Maybe you have heart disease, an autoimmune disorder. Maybe you're short, have a temper, quick to react. Maybe you've forgotten how to speak up for yourself. It is going to have an effect over the long term. Take a deep breath in and a deep, kind of forceful breath out to just let it go. We're going to free ourselves from that. And know that that's your no. Okay? Now we're still here in this safe space. Keep your eyes closed because your body is powerful and we're going to find that yes. So shift now into a time recently, and I hope there is a recent time. Maybe it was a time long ago. Shift into a time where you felt yes. Maybe it was the moment you first saw a beloved. Maybe it was the moment you realized a career or coaching program you needed to say yes to. Maybe it was the moment that you saw a sparkly outfit or item you couldn't live without. It doesn't matter what it is. But what did it feel like? That clear yes, that thing that affirmed you. And maybe you'll feel it as a lightness. One of my favorite answers to this was, it feels like I'm sprouting wings and becoming a butterfly. What is your clear yes? Do you feel a weight lifting? Do you feel a warmth? Do you feel like a part of you is rising up? Do you feel a sense of clarity? What does it feel like? And wherever that clear yes lands in your body, place your hands there. Feel into that sensation as a recognition and a gratitude of yourself as an embodied woman. This is how we live. This is how all of our feminine ancestors have lived. Not through logic and reason. We have it, sure. Through this. Through intuition and emotional depth. This is where our yes and no live. This is where the clarity and purpose of our lives reside. This is who we are. So feel that yes, the lightness of that yes. And know that any time you feel that yes, that's your answer and your boundary. Anytime you feel that no, that is your answer and your boundary, and you are duty bound as a woman to yourself and all your ancestors to honor it. This is the work. Your clear no will lead you. It's how you create the vacuum. So while you're here, embodied, feminine, ready to receive answers, What is one thing today, let's say in the next 12 hours, that your body, your feminine intuition, your feminine power needs to say no to? It can be simple. No to the dishes. No to that next meeting. No to picking up that call, answering that email. No to sex tonight. No to making dinner. Just a clear no. And it might feel scary. I get it. But this is where it starts. It's one simple practice. So there's your clear no, your clear boundaried container for today. And when you say no, tell me, my dear friend, what will that open you to receive? What will that give you a yes to? Let your body tell you. It'll tell you. You're powerful. You're intuitive. That no is going to give you something. It's going to allow you to receive something. It's going to allow you to accept some gift that you would not get if you turned that no into a yes. You are allowed to have everything you long for. You have permission. Yes and no is where you get them. So take a deep breath in, deep breath out. One more deep breath in, deep breath out. And before you open your eyes, just say a quiet thank you and gratitude for your body and its messages. A quiet thank you and gratitude to your empowered femininity for its ability to receive and keep you safe and boundaried. This is where you feel it. When you're ready, open your eyes. And for those of you that would like to share, I would love to hear what your clear no is and or what your clear yes is for today. Because this is where we start, right? I understand. Look, the question was asked about what about the socks on the floor? There are bigger things than socks that we as women have to deal with and that we as women need to stay boundaried and receptive around. Start with socks. I mean, look, you can go for the big stuff. I work with my coaching clients a lot on the big stuff, but you can also start with the small stuff. Give yourself some practice. Learn the value of no and that your value is in the no. Watch those around you rise into that vacuum. Be more capable, step up, actually demonstrate the generosity of their love for you. They cannot if you keep filling the space. So let them show you how they fill that space. Create the receptacle for that through your no. Remember, the statement of the feminine is no. The question is when. Maybe that's my next workshop. But that is essentially our work. That is how we receive more. It's amazingly through doing less. And maybe that sounds obvious, but I know as women in this world, it is so hard to adjust to that. I mean, I look at, I do a lot of business coaching with women, and I look at kind of the rat race that they get themselves into and the fact that they want to achieve more, do more, strive more, make more. And it's not about the making more, the doing more, the striving more that creates a life of satisfaction for the woman. It's about creating sovereignty. So the last chapter of my book actually is about rising into your sovereign space, becoming the queen of your own domain. Queens aren't scrubbing the floors. Queens aren't micromanaging. The queens empower. They empower. They sit on their throne and they empower others to do for them. And think of how, the masculine loves the doing. The masculine loves the doing. Not the distorted masculine, not when we put it on and wear it for too long. The healthy masculine. So let them do. So I've seen so much incredible breakthroughs from just this work, and again, I very much look forward to hearing what your clear yes and your clear no might be today. I hope that you'll stay in touch with me and let me know what your clear yes and your clear no are. And for those of you that are interested in doing this work further and having some support and maybe a little bit of accountability in keeping that receptive container for yourself, in truly changing a pattern that doesn't work for you, then I want to invite you to do some private coaching with me. Now, just for the people here or the people who sign up for this workshop, I have a special 30-day coaching container. It's short, it's sweet, it's 4 weeks of in-depth, intense work that I'd love to invite you into. And for those of you here on the workshop, there's a $300 off opportunity for you just for this. So that is on offer. That is an option. It is not required. Of course, there is the book. There is my private community, which is free. That's actually where this replay is going to live. For those of you interested in a 30-day coaching container, I've put the link in the chat. You can go ahead and open up that page, check it out, and get that special deal. Ladies love deals. And ask me any questions that you might have. So for those of you that are still with me live, I'm here. We've got some time. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions, clarify anything for you. If you're feeling that fear come up, if you have something that you said no to in the practice that you don't know if you're safe to say the no, or you have more questions about it, let's have a chat. One of my great privileges in doing this work, I mean, first of all, I have to say it is a privilege to do this work. I don't know if you guys know this, maybe you do, but I basically burned my entire life down in order to do this work. I got the clear no that the last thing that I was doing was done. And that last thing was both my yoga business and also my marriage. I ended up in a marriage with someone who I thought was a masculine man. It turned out he was actually more in the feminine, and so I became the overdoer. I created a business that was insanely successful and realized that I was so in my masculine running it that I was no longer in my creativity, which is where I thrive. And the only way for me to shift that was to just burn it all down and get rid of it. Now, that was a big move, right? Not everybody's ready for that move. I'm not saying you have to do that for yourself. But I hope the reveal of that for you, if that's not something that you know about me, is how important this work is, that it was worth that. It was worth selling the business and creating this new one that is far more in alignment with this truth of who I am as a feminine woman, so that I can lead something like this and at least give some structure and pathway for you. I understand that a woman's life is not easy, and I want to do everything that I can to help relieve some of that pressure. And I may not be the only one doing it, but I'm doing it the best that I can and in the best way that I can. And part of that, a lot of that comes from the conversations that I get to have with you, whether it's through coaching, whether it's in my private community, whether it's through email, whether it's through workshops like this, live broadcasts. But your input, your feedback, you telling me, look, Alanna, this is what's going to help me be more satisfied, helps me do that work better. And it helps me serve you better. So I love the conversation. Look, there are many gifts of being a feminine woman. Like when I say our two superpowers are our intuition and emotional depth, I mean it. But we also have other qualities like connection, collaboration, empathy, creativity, wildness. Wildness. The woman cannot be tamed. I watch a lot of true crime. I'm obsessed. Totally obsessed. And I look at all these detectives and I think to myself, man, we need like lady detectives because nobody's better at seeking out truth than the feminine. The feminine will not rest until she gets the truth. And you know that if you've ever peeped your partner's messages because you're suspicious of this activity, that is detective work right there. Okay, so question, is there a practice that can remind us to stay in that receptive mode after we create the void? If you leave a relationship that has caused you to be masculine, it feels like for life to continue, I'd have to make up for that energy. Ah, financially, structurally, and in doing. How do we bring this to the practice with the small and big voids we create? So, Lynn, this is both a small and very, very big question that you're asking, and I have what will probably be only a mildly satisfying answer for you, which is hard for me to say as someone who is deep in pursuit of satisfaction for all women everywhere. So, one of the things that we live with in this patriarchal culture is the the heavy emphasis on individuality and doing it all ourselves, that DIY energy. And it's one of the ways that the patriarchy continues to keep us repressed and on our back feet and exhausted. When you tell people that, doing it yourself, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, doing it all on your own is of greatest value, you isolate them. You isolate them. And this is actually also concurrently the first time in history that women can just be single. Literally the first time in history. It wasn't even available as a choice to my mother, my mom. Did you know that women couldn't open their own bank accounts without a male cosigner until 1987? A woman couldn't even be in charge of her own money until less than 30 years ago. Okay, so we're in this interesting time where, yes, we can choose to be single. We have this overvalue of being single. We have the messaging I know that I was raised with, you don't need a man. You can do it all yourself. And that is all true. And I'm certainly not going to now say that you have to be partnered. But what I will say is that human beings are relational beings. We've evolved this far. We've gotten this far in relationship. A truth of psychology is that we are wounded in relationship in early childhood, and eventually we are healed in relationship in adulthood. So it is absolutely right and true and good to get out of relationship. I mean, we've all done it. We've all done it. To use that as a time and capsule, as a container for healing. I remember when I was a kid, my mother went through a horrific divorce with my father. And she looked at me and she was like, that's it. I'm never getting married again. I'm swearing off men. I'm done. And what happened 5 years later? Married again. It's this kind of itch that constantly arises within us. Now, a couple of things. This world was not built for us. I wish that it was. We're trying to build it differently. It's going to take some time. And so for the single woman to create this container for herself is difficult. It is going to require probably more masculinity than you're really willing to put on for a long period of time, but this world was just not built for us. There really isn't a way to remain 100% in your femininity in this patriarchal culture that can be dangerous on many levels. I wish that were not the case, and I wish I could be Pollyanna enough to tell you that it is possible, but I live in the real world, girl. So, I've got my Ring cameras. I've got my own bank account. I've done alone for a while. In fact, my fucking last name means the power of aloneness because I was also sold that bill of goods. I changed it to that at the age of 23. That's my mic drop moment. So there will be some time of repair for you, of holding that space for yourself, holding yourself gently, of getting into, kind of getting out and dropping some of the story in this narrative. One of the best things you can do is surround yourself in a community like this. Women who are having these conversations, women who have done it, women who have walked at least some part of their path towards satisfaction and say, hey, here's a little tidbit for you. Here's a little thing that I have. I've got this amazing coaching client. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. She taught me about the power of mood Afghans. She crochets an Afghan where every day the color she uses is in conjunction with the color that she's feeling. And now she's got a track over time of how she's feeling in all her days. Amazingly therapeutic and creative. I love that. Finding place. One of the things that I recommend. So all that is to say that this is not an easy answer to this question. Okay, once you have gotten that clear no, and if it is to leave a relationship, that is a brave step. You will have to hold the masculine for yourself for a little while, but I'm betting that is more valuable than holding the distorted masculine for someone else. Because that is a heavy burden. Carrying it for ourselves is hard enough. Carrying it for two people is impossible. Okay, so we're already making a good step. Then what we need to do is find places, spaces, relationships to practice. I advocate heavily the curation of your life. Firing friends who force you to overdo. Getting out of careers or jobs that ask too much of you. Stopping family functions that drain the F out of you. Okay, now I understand that there are some people that you can't fire outright. Can't fire your children, but you can recraft your orientation with them. Step back into your femininity and call them into their masculinity and see if they walk through that door. You can curate your time and say, you know what, I can't do a 48-hour stay at my family's house. I'm going to get a hotel and I can do them in 3-hour chunks. That's what I have the capacity for. So heavily curating your time, because time is critically important for the feminine. We don't have oodles of it. We can't just put things off. We are not procrastinators like men can be. Men can start their careers at any age. It doesn't matter. Men can have children at any age. It doesn't matter. Men can get married at any age. It doesn't matter. It matters for women. We don't have the luxury of all this available time. I wish we did. Okay, but I'm not going to sugarcoat what is real. So heavy curation of what you can. Certainly not carrying the burden for two people. Understanding that you'll do it for yourself for a while, but in a different way, while you're practicing in as many places as possible. That receptivity, the clear yes, the clear no, giving people around you the opportunity to step up for you and seeing who will. Remember, they're not stepping up because you're doing it for them. And because just the improper training of this culture hasn't shown them how. You might have to show them how. You might have to clue them in. And I know that that's more emotional labor, and I wish it wasn't. Our burdens are heavy as women. I wish they weren't. But if we want them to step up and in, and if we're doing the work, we're the only ones who can show them. And let's give them the opportunity. Because if they love us, they will. And I have to share, like, I have two coaching clients that I'm working with, and both came to me like, my relationship is so over. One has been with her husband for literal decades, and the other for a literal decade. And in both cases, their downshifting into the feminine has called their masculine partner to rise up. So the work starts with us, my dear friend. It starts with us. And it is my great privilege, my sincere great privilege to be able to do this work with you. And like I said, it cost me everything, but it has been well worth it. I know that this is not just important work, but holy work, critical work. And I'm doing my best to get it out there and to serve as many women as possible with this work. So please keep talking to me and communicating with me about how I can continue to do it better. More, I believe you are all in my private community. That is where this replay will live. So you'll be getting an email momentarily about the replay, how to log in there if you haven't yet. This is where you can have a continued conversation with me. It is a safe space. It is a curated container. I've curated it heavily. And if you want to work one-on-one with me for the next 30 days, scroll up a little bit. There's a special link there for you to do that. I've only got a couple of spots open in order to work with someone individually on just holding that space for you, keeping you accountable, changing something big potentially. In 30 days, you could be in a much different place than you are now. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen, and it's amazing. And if not that, then make sure that you stay connected to me in some way, shape, or form. I work with women on developing their sovereign, abundant businesses because I believe in a woman's sovereignty equals power. I know for myself that having your own money is one of the best conditions for making the most positive life choices you can for yourself. When women don't have money, it puts us in very awkward and compromising circumstances because we're women. When men don't have money, their circumstances and compromises are different. When women don't have money, it's a problem. And I want all women to be able to have the money that they need to make the choices that serve their highest and most satisfied good. So I work with women on developing sovereign businesses. I work with them on detoxifying relationships. I work with them on downshifting into their feminine, all sorts of things. And it's a privilege, and I'm very grateful to do it. So thank you all so much for being here for this workshop. Thank you for registering. Thank you for signing up. For those of you watching the replay, thanks for watching the replay. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your community. Thank you for your connection. And thank you for setting up that boundary. Clear yes, clear no, doing this work. I promise you, it is not selfish, because if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Don't forget. You create the container, that receptive container, boundaried by clear yes and clear no. Create the vacuum, let it rush in, and just wait. Remember impatience. I know you don't have any, but hold your boundary. Hold your boundary as sacred, and let others do that for you too. Right? I'm giving you permission. All right, ladies, thank you so much for being here. I will be in touch shortly with an email, so make sure you check your inboxes about the replay. Sometimes my emails go to spam. Do you know why? Because my business name is The Satisfied Women. And apparently, all of those patriarchal platforms out there think The Satisfied Woman is only satisfied sexually, so they put my emails in spam. I'm not changing my business name. In fact, Facebook has banned me 3 times for the same reason. I know, you know, and I know that women are satisfied in all ways, shapes, and forms. So let's keep it going. All right, you guys, thank you so much. My pleasure. I will talk to you all soon.